one that can see.
Logic before authority.
Hi guys, this is Daniel Alexander Cannon here on Logic Before Authority. Today we are going to read and discuss the last two, number 3 and 4 of the 4 agreements from the book, The 4 Agreements. This book can be acquired by just simply doing a Google search for The 4 Agreements and then type it in, hit a space and then type .pdf. And you look at the returns and you'll find some place that you can pull up and read a copy of the book. It is in the public domain. It is a fairly short book. You can probably, some of your readers could probably read it in a day easily. And, but it's a book that made an impact on my life and for the better. Just like the Bible, there are just certain teachings that you just don't really realize because nobody ever told you. And the 4 agreements are, hey, what's happening, Super Dave? I see you, my brother. What's happening? Good to see you. And thank you for being here. The 4 agreements are, number 1, be impeccable with your word. Number 2, don't take anything personally. Number 3, don't make assumptions. Number 4, always do your best. Now, those sound like simple statements, and I realize that. However, to really understand anything, even a word, you really need to analyze it, break it down, such as the word, you could say assumption. Okay, you would have to break that word down to even understand really, truly what's meant, because you're already, or most people would be making assumptions about what the word assumptions means, but we're going to break down and look at number 3 and number 4 today. Okay, these guys right here. We already did number 1 and 2. You can find that on the channel. Several videos back or live stream, videos or live streams, because our live streams are reproduced around 8 p.m. each day, depending on what platform you're on. We are streaming on 10 platforms today, or attempting to, you might say. We've got a couple that are having a problem, and I'm seeking ways to try to fix that. But we are live on 2 different YouTube channels, The Supernatural Show and Logic Before Authority. We're live on Twitch. We're live on my Facebook personal account and my Facebook Logic Before Authority account. And we're attempting to go live on Kick. BitChute is live. And Trevo, which is a new platform. We are live on Trevo as well. We're live on Odyssey, although it seems to be having a little bit of a problem. DLive is live. And so we are live. And we're going to be adding more platforms in the coming days here. And a few more places to go live. Just a matter of getting the technology set up to do it. And we will. Now, let's go ahead and look at what's happening, Mike Smith. Good to see you. Hey, Diana. Good to see you as well. We're going to go ahead and take a look at the last 2 agreements here. Always good to see some of my favorite people in the house. May our Father in heaven bless y'all guys and watch over you, and I know he does. So let's go ahead and let's get into don't make assumptions. Okay. Now, you would really want to read this entire book, because even though I've read the first 2 assumptions and some of the introduction, I did not read this whole book to you and will not read this whole book to you, but I'm going to read enough where I feel like we've done a pretty good job at making a point and showing what there is to be seen here, okay? So the third agreement is don't make assumptions. We have the tendency to make assumptions about everything. The problem with making assumptions is that we believe they are the truth. You see, you're making an assumption. You're thinking, oh, I know what's going on there. And you think you do because you think you already know a truth related to what you're making the assumption about. Anyways, it says, we could swear they are real. We make assumptions about what others are doing or thinking. I know why they did that. They're doing this and they're working against me. And I'm going to get them back. And I'm going to do this. And then you go out and you do that thing. And maybe you were wrong all along. Yet you've already done something, or you've taken an action, or maybe you've taken it personal. And as we know, we are not to take anything personal. Okay. All right, let's keep going. I'll try not to interrupt as much if I can. We could swear they are real. We make assumptions about what others are doing or thinking. We take it personally. Then we blame them and react by sending emotional poison with our word. That is why whenever we make assumptions, we are asking for problems. Yep, absolutely. We make an assumption, we misunderstand, we take it personally. We end up creating a whole big drama for nothing. Now, we were raised, all of us were, and everybody made assumptions, and the television taught us to make assumptions. But we have to break that agreement that we've made in the past, guys. All the sadness and drama you have lived in your life was rooted in making assumptions and taking things personally. Take a moment to consider the truth of this statement. The whole war of control between humans is about making assumptions and taking things personally. Our whole dream of hell is based on that. We create a lot of emotional poison just by making assumptions and taking it personally, because usually we start gossiping about our assumptions. Remember, gossiping is the way we communicate to each other in the dream of hell and transfer poison to one another. You know how people like to talk to people. They like to tell other people what they think is going on. They gossip, and this is the use of black magic. All right, let me continue. It's black magic. It's the use of your tongue, which is a sword, and it can destroy or it can create, depending on how you choose to use it. Because we're afraid to ask for clarification, we make assumptions and believe we are right about the assumptions. Then we defend our assumptions and try to make someone else wrong. You know, when you made an assumption, for instance, and you take an action, and then you're trapped in your belief, right? You've taken this action, you're trapped in the belief, and now it's personal, and you have to defend your action. Oh, I'm definitely right. They were doing this, or they were thinking this, or they did that. I know it was them. They had to be them. There was no other answer, right? And then you get trapped into having defended it. And then when you get trapped to having to defend it, there comes up drama. There comes up all kinds of things, right? Chaos. My toady in the human mind creates a lot of chaos, which causes us to misinterpret everything and misunderstand everything. We only see what we want to see and hear, what we want to hear. We don't perceive things the way they are. We are the habit of dreaming with no basis in reality. We literally dream things up in our imaginations because we don't understand something. we make an assumption about that meaning or about the meaning. And when the truth comes out, the bubble of our dream pops and we find out it was not what we thought it was at all. I could give you an example of politicians. They tell you all these things and they promise all these things and they build up this whole magic personality, cult of personality thing where you want to believe in them, and then you've taken that step to believe in them. You've maybe made donations, you've maybe shared comments on Facebook or comments to your friends in person, and then you're invested because you made the assumption that that person was telling the truth, would do what they said, but now you're invested in their lie, in their delusion, and you have to defend it now. And that's another example of how we really get in trouble and how they use the mastery of word and knowing people are going to take things personally, knowing things people are going to make assumptions, and they manipulate us because of these. They know that these are built into societal thinking because, well, they did it. An example, you're walking in the mall and you see a person you like. That person turns to you and smiles and then walks away. You can make a lot of assumptions just because of this one experience. So you're walking in the mall and you see a person you like. The person turns to you and smiles and then walks away. So with these assumptions, you can create a whole fantasy. And you really want to believe this fantasy and make it real. A whole dream begins to form just from your assumptions. And you can believe, oh, this person really likes me. In your mind, a whole relationship begins from that. Maybe you even get married in this fantasy land, but the fantasy is in your mind, in your personal dream. Making assumptions in our relationships is really asking for problems. Often we make the assumption that our partners know what we think and that we don't have to say what we want. We assume they are going to do what we want because they know us so well. If they don't do what we assume they should do, we feel so hurt and say, you should have known. I mean, how many of us have dealt with that kind of thing, right? Another example, you decide to get married and you make an assumption that your partner sees marriage the same way that you do. Then you live together and find out this is not true. This creates a lot of conflict, but you still don't try to clarify your feelings about marriage. The husband comes home from work and the wife is mad, and the husband doesn't know why. Maybe it's because the wife made an assumption. Without telling him what she wants, she makes an assumption that he knows her so well that he should know what she wants, as if he can read her mind. She gets so upset because he fails to meet her expectations. Making assumptions in relationships leads to a lot of fights, a lot of difficulties, a lot of misunderstandings with people we supposedly love. In any kind of relationship, we can make the assumption that others know what we think. And we don't have to say what we want. They are going to do what we want because they know us so well. If they don't do what we want, what we assume, if they don't do what we want, what we assume they should do, we feel hurt and think, how could you do that? You should know. Again, we make the assumption that the other person knows what we want. The whole drama is created because we make this assumption and then put more assumptions on top of it. It is very interesting how the human mind works. We have the need to justify everything, to explain, understand everything. in order to feel safe. We have millions of questions that need answers because there are so many things that the reasoning mind cannot explain. It is not important if the answer is correct. Just the answer itself makes us feel safe. This is why we make assumptions. If others tell us something, we make assumptions. If they don't tell us something, we make assumptions to fulfill our need to know and to replace the need to communicate. If we want to hear something and we don't understand, even if we hear something and we don't understand, we make assumptions about what it means and then believe the assumptions. We make all sorts of assumptions because we don't have the courage to ask questions. These assumptions are made so fast and unconsciously most of the time. This is why it's really, really important to, in the beginning, when you're trying to stop yourself from making assumptions and taking things personally and so on, you really have to over and over and over and over stop yourself. At least I did. I was a slow learner, okay? And I had to stop myself, and still do. I still do it even today. That's why it's so important and why this book had a major impact on my life and improving it and improving my relationships, even dealing with y'all guys in the audience. It has helped me, such as always do your best. I do always do my best when it comes to my work. Never take anything personal. I don't, because if I read the comments of every video and took everything personal that was in there, I would be a mess, And I don't make assumptions too, because especially in texting or in messages in the comments, it's really easy not to get the emotional implications of really what the person means. And on top of that, you don't know the person at all or very little, and it can cause major problems. And so I don't take things personal, and I try not to make assumptions, and I do stop myself. So we have agreed that it is not safe to ask questions. We have agreed that if people love us, they should know what we want or how we feel. When we believe something, we assume we are right about it to the point that we will destroy relationships in order to defend our position. There's a saying. The saying is, it's easier to fool a man than convince a man he's been fooled. That goes right back to when we believe something, we assume we are right about it to the point we will destroy relationships in order to defend our position. Think about the last 4 years, 5 years. And I went to a doctor a while back, just I needed a little bit of antibiotics for my leg that injured, which is doing way, way better now. And he asked me that I'd want a flu pal, right? And I told him no. And then he comes back a minute or two later and he says, why is it that you don't like to get flu pals? And I explained to him that, well, I have a very personal thing with it. When my son was 2 years old, he got some flu pals. And a few weeks later, my son wasn't there any longer. I lost him to autism. Yes, he's still alive, but it was a terrible thing. Okay. And and that was right. This was right after when Mr. T had come out and made the statement that the flu pals that all the children were getting, he actually admitted that they were causing autism, right? And I said, well, I don't listen to them. I already know the truth when it comes to that kind of stuff. So But I mentioned to the doctor, because I figured he could relate to this. I said, didn't you hear that Mr. T said that that they were hurting people and causing children to have autism and other things? And this doctor got mad. He said, talking about Mr. T, right? He says, he's a damn fool and doesn't know nothing about this stuff. And he says, I've been giving vaccinations to people for 50 years and I ain't never hurt nobody. So I'll read this up here again. When we believe something, we assume we are right about it to the point that we are willing to destroy relationships in order to defend our position. He believes, doctor, he believes, and he has made the assumption that his beliefs are right, that the flu pals don't hurt people, that they don't damage people, that there is no good in flu pals. He believes that there's all good in them. And because he has damaged so many people, he's so invested in it because he doesn't know. All he's doing is trusting. I mean, he didn't go to the factory. He didn't go see how these things were designed. He assumed, because it comes from his doctor organizations that tell him what he's supposed to believe, he assumed that they were telling the truth. And so there's no way he can back out of it. He was willing to destroy relationships. He was to the point, he was so mad that I could have walked out and been mad at him, but I didn't take it personal. See, because I knew what he had done. I knew that he had made assumptions and believed the lies that were told to him. So yes, he's a victim too, but he is a member of the Red Horse. And the White Horse, which is the people who wear the white robes, all the doctors, all the people, scientists and the pharmacists and the CDC members that wear those white clothings. And they are the White Horse. And then the Red Horse comes and says that he will cause them to kill each other. And the White Horse turns red with blood. And that's exactly where he's at. But he's so far into it now, it would break his reality and probably break his soul almost, to get out of it. So there's no way he's likely coming out, even though I tried to talk some sense to him. All right, so let's keep going. We make the assumption that everyone sees life the way we do. We assume that others think the way we think, feel the way we feel, judge the way we judge, and abuse the way we abuse. This is the biggest assumption that humans make. And this is why we have a fear of being ourselves around other people. Because we think everyone else will judge us. Yeah, that fear or consciousness of worrying about what other people think, that should be like the fifth agreement. You have to somehow, whether you're a woman or a man listening, you have to somehow break your desire to impress others. Okay? You just need to do the best you can so that you know who you are. And that's what you should be concerned with. And you know that the ultimate judge, there is only one judge. Matter of fact, the name Daniel means that. God is your judge. That's my name. I even have a tattoo on my back that says, only God will judge me. Yes, I have a tattoo on my back. Very large, shoulder to shoulder. Before I really woke up, I was partially waking up in some ways and ended up with a tattoo that means my name, Daniel, on my back. only God will judge me, or God is my judge. Anyways, because we think everyone else will judge us, victimize us, abuse us, and blame us as we do ourselves. So even before others have a chance to reject us, we have already rejected ourselves. See, you're thinking, this is a real problem I've seen a lot, especially with females. They dress up, they get all good looking, and some of it's for the men, but they don't really need that. A lot of times what they're doing is competing with other women. They're seeking social acceptance from other women. And I understand that. But we need to break our desire to be socially accepted by others. All you need to do is do your best in all situations. So this is the way the human mind works. We also make assumptions about ourselves, and this creates a lot of inner conflict. I think I am able to do this. You make this assumption, for instance, and then you discover you aren't able to do it. You overestimate or underestimate yourself because you haven't taken the time to ask yourself questions and to answer them. Perhaps you need to gather more facts about a particular situation, or maybe you need to stop lying to yourself about what you truly want. Often, when you go into a relationship with someone you like, you have to justify why you look like that person. You only see what you want to see, and you deny there are things you don't like about that person. You lie to yourself just to make yourself right. Then you make assumptions, and one of the assumptions is, my love will change this person. This is not true. Your love will not change anybody. If others change, it's because they want to change, not because you can change them. It's then something happens between the two of you, and you get hurt. Now, I will say this. I disagree slightly with this. Not very, very slightly, okay? And this is only because of my personal experiences. And that is when let's say there's a child, and that child, he's in a not an orphan home, but a adopted family or a temporary home, and he's there for years, and he's being raised by this family, and the family really just did a terrible job in his raising the child, and he's coming up doing things and acting ways that he should have never had. He should have had more discipline, or he should have had more truth, or he should have had more something. Then that child, when say that child is 8 years old or 9 years old, whatever, and you take that child and then you place him with someone else who actually has more capacity to love someone, and they apply that love. Sometimes love has to be hard, or it could be seemingly hard, through like proper discipline. But they apply themselves to that child, and they continue to work on attempting to alter the bad traits that child has. And if they put enough effort in, and that child also has possibly the ability to alter their behaviors, you can have an influence on somebody's life, no matter whether they're a child or no matter whether they're your spouse. I have seen it in my life where, and it has taken some heavy, heavy investment sometimes. But at the end of the day, I can see that the amount of love that I've put into some situations, and love, we think of that word as an emotional word, right? But it doesn't necessarily have to be an emotional word. It just means to commit to, you know? So if I can see the commitments that I've made in certain situations in my life, and most people would have walked away from those commitments because you might say there's a lot of hard things that can happen sometimes before you actually finally achieve the goal or make progress, So anyways, I just wanted to share that as a side note. But for the most part, just because you love somebody, it won't change them. It's going to take a lot of for them to want that as well. So let's keep going down here. We don't need to justify love. It is there or not there. Real love is accepting other people the way they are without trying to change them. If we try to change them, this means we don't really like them. Of course, if you decide to live with someone, if you make that agreement, it is always better to make that agreement with someone who is exactly the way you want them to be or her to be. And I agree with that in general too, that there's a thing about acceptance of people, whether they're in your eyes to be perfect or not perfect, or maybe they've got obvious flaws, or maybe they've got a bad habit or certain things, but it's not our place to judge people. It's our place, if we want to spend time around those people, to accept them for who they are, and over time maybe encourage them carefully, lightly, with love, and maybe you can have influence. Find someone whom you don't have to change at all. It's much easier to find someone who is already the way you want him or her to be, instead of trying to change that person. Also, that person must love you just the way you are, so he or she doesn't have to change you at all. If others feel they have to change you, that means they really don't love you just the way you are. So why be with someone if you're not the way he or she wants you to be? We have to be what we are, so we don't have to present a false image. If you love me the way I am, okay, take me. If you don't love me the way I am, okay, bye-bye. Find someone else. It may sound harsh, but this kind of communication means the personal agreements we make with each other are clear and impeccable. And I know we can all remember, meeting, especially when you're young and you're out dating and doing all of this, and you meet people, and like maybe if you're a girl and you meet this guy and he's good looking and he's confident and he's got a job and he's got all this, but maybe he has a bad habit, and you think that because you love him, you'll be able to make him change that bad habit. Unfortunately, most of the time, it's not the case. Okay. He has to want to be a better man, and you have to be good enough a person to make him want to be a better man, is part of that too as well. So just imagine the day that you stop making assumptions with your partner and eventually everyone else in your life. Your way of communicating will change completely, and your relationships will no longer suffer from conflicts created by mistaken assumptions. The way to keep yourself from making assumptions is to ask questions. Make sure the communication is clear. If you don't understand, ask. Have the courage to ask questions until you're clear as you can be. Like back when you were those young people and you were dating and the other person would say this or say that, and you just wouldn't question them because you didn't want to seem like you were prying or this or that, and you just assumed what they meant, or either you just accepted what you thought they meant. It's just like, I don't understand why we are like that. And it has to be our social development system that we're raised in has to just have that programmed in. It's in the mix, I guess, is what's going on. So, and then you do not have to assume you know all there is to know about a given situation. Once you hear the answer, you will not have to make assumptions because you will know the truth. Also, find your voice to ask for what you want. Everybody has the right to tell you no or yes, but you always have the right to ask. Likewise, everybody has the right to ask you, and you have the right to say yes or no. If you don't understand something, it is better for you to ask and to be clear instead of making assumptions. The day you stop making assumptions, you will communicate cleanly and clearly, free of emotional poison, without making assumptions. Your word becomes impeccable. So I hope, and again, I'm not reading it all, okay? But I hope that gives you some things to think about, and I encourage you to go ahead and go back and read the rest of this book. It's a book that you really, it's like the Bible in a way, where it may need to be read, at least some of it, multiple times. And like I said, the first time I read this book was like 15 years ago. So, all right. So now we're moving on to agreement number 4. Let me check in with you guys and see what you're doing. Aha. Olivia is in the house. What's happening, Olivia? Jim Miller, what is up? Well, wow, Jim, thank you very much for your kind words. And yeah, I do need a little bit of help still right now, trying to make it to the 21st, and I'm running on sawdust, you might say. But I wouldn't be running at all if it wasn't for the donations and the support that y'all guys have given me for the last 10 years. This channel and the Supernatural Show and the growing of the Supernatural Show network, it's all because of y'all guys. Yes, I know I have to do it. I have to participate. But if y'all guys hadn't been helping me all along, there's just no way I could have be where I'm at, and doing what I'm doing now. So thank you, Jill Miller. I might have said Jim. I meant Jill. Appreciate your encouragement. Super Dave and Mike still in the house, of course. Carol, Cash. What's happening, Cash? Good to see you here. Oh, Roxy Files is in the house too. What's happening, Roxy? Yep. I see Roxy gets it and is understanding it, and it's always something we have to continue to practice. It's a daily thing, just like how we try to practice the things we learn out of the Bible and continue to improve upon them. All right, let's read a little bit about Always do your best. There is just one more agreement, but it's the one that allows the other three to become deeply ingrained habits. The fourth agreement is about the action of the first three. Always do your best. So you're always doing your best to be impeccable with your word. You're always doing your best to not take anything personally. You're always doing your best to not make assumptions, right? And it applies in many other ways as well with everything that you do in your life. Under any circumstances, always do your best. No more and no less. But keep in mind that your best is never going to be the same from one moment to the next. Everything is alive and changing all the time, so your best will sometimes be high quality, and other times it will not be quite as good. When you wake up refreshed and energized in the morning, your best will be better than when you are tired at night. Your best will be different when you are healthy as opposed to sick, or sober as opposed to drunk. Your best will depend on whether you are feeling wonderful and happy or upset, angry, and jealous. And jealousy is another thing, or any of these: upset, angry, jealousy. Emotions are something you have to master. When you feel anger rise in you, you have to master controlling it. When you feel jealousy arise in you, you have to master shutting it down. There are deadly sins that involve our emotions. And Dan Kennedy used to tell me that the strong men, the spirits of the Nephilim, are the ones pulling the strings on these things in your life itself and in other people's lives in order to try to cause destruction in your lives. So, on a side note, master your ability to control emotion. After you do that, you can master the focusing of the proper emotions that can lead to even things like hands-on healing and many other wonderful, beautiful things. In your everyday moods, your best can change from one moment to another, from 1 hour to the next, from one day to another. Your best will also change over time. As you build the habit of the 4 new agreements, your best will become better than it used to be. Yep, it's a growing process, and I'm better at it now than I was years ago. And I'll be better tomorrow than I was yesterday because I'm refreshing my memory. I'm refreshing my agreement not to do these things, or in some cases to do these things, like be impeccable with your word. Don't take anything personally. Don't make assumptions. Always do your best. Regardless of the quality, keep doing your best. No more, no less than your best. If you try too hard to do more than your best, you will spend more energy than is needed, and in the end, your best will not be enough. When you overdo, you deplete your body and go against yourself, and it will take you longer to accomplish your goal. But if you do less than your best, you subject yourself to frustrations, self-judgment, guilt, and regrets. Just do your best in any circumstance in your life. It doesn't matter if you are sick or tired. If you always do your best, then there's no way you can judge yourself. Like I said, be that person that when you look in the mirror, you know who that person is, and you like them. You even love them for our Father in heaven loves us. And if you don't judge yourself, there is no way you are going to suffer from guilt, blame, self-punishment. By always doing your best, you will break a big spell that you have been under. There was a man who wanted to transcend his sufferings, so he went to a Buddhist temple to find a master to help him. He went to the master and asked, "Master, if I meditate 4 hours a day, how long will it take me to transcend?" The master looked at him and said, "If you meditate 4 hours a day, perhaps you will transcend in 10 years. Thinking he could do better, the man then said, "Oh, master, what if I meditated 8 hours a day? How long would it take me to transcend?" The master looked at him and said, "If you meditate 8 hours a day, perhaps you will transcend in 20 years. But why will it take me longer if I meditate more?" the man asked. The master replied, "You are not here to sacrifice your joy or your life. You are here to live and be happy and to love. If you can do your best in 2 hours of meditation, but spend 8 hours instead, you will only grow tired, miss the point, and you won't enjoy your life. Do your best, and perhaps you will learn that no matter how long you meditate, and meditation is a biblical term and instruction, not Buddhism necessarily, but meditation is, you can live, love, and be happy. Doing your best, you are going to live your life intensely. You are going to be productive. You are going to be good to yourself because you will be giving yourself to your family, to your community, to everything. But it is the action that is going to make you feel intensely happy. When you always do your best and you take action, doing your best is taking the action because you love it, not because you're expecting a reward. Most people do exactly the opposite. They only take action when they expect a reward, and they don't enjoy the action, and that's the reason why they don't do their best. This is like with this work I do. I try to do my best. Sometimes it's better than others or better than others, but I try to do my best. Just like today, doing another live stream today, I'm trying to do my best because I take what I do seriously and I enjoy it. So even what we're doing right now is part of doing our best. Y'all guys are trying to learn. You guys are trying to spend time with others that you feel that are in somewhat of the same mind frames that you may be in. Although I see in the comments from time to time, people making assumptions, certainly, right? Anyways, for example, most people go to work every day just thinking of payday and the money they will get from their work that they are doing. They can hardly wait for Friday or Saturday, whatever day they receive their money, and can take time off. They are working for the reward. There's pretty much nobody that goes to a job that they actually love. Meaning, if they were not getting paid, would they still show up every day and do their best? That actually has a lot to do with why I do what I do. And it's because I don't do it for money. Yes, I have to survive in this world just like everybody else. Unless I want to go live in the woods and live that type of life, but I can't do this work that Father has put on my heart. I can't do that there. I could be selfish and go hide. I could be afraid and run away, but I don't. I do what I like to do. I do what I love to do, no matter how much money comes my way. So they are working for the reward, and as a result, they resist work. They try to avoid the action, and it becomes more difficult. And they don't do their best. They work so hard all week long, suffering the work, suffering the action, not because they like to, but because they feel they have to. They have to work because they have to pay the rent, because they have to support their family. They have all the frustration, and when they do receive their money, they are unhappy. They have 2 days to rest, to do what they want to do. And what do? They try to escape. They get drunk because they don't like themselves. They don't like their life. There are many ways that there are many ways that we hurt ourselves when we don't like who we are. On the other hand, if you take action just for the sake of doing it, let me back up. So far as escaping, people do a lot of things to escape as well. They go to entertainment complexes, or they watch television to escape. We're all guilty of it. No one is a judge here because we know we're all guilty. We've done it. Maybe we even still do it a little bit. But we can always try to seek to do better. But there are no judges here, for there is only one judge, and that is our Father in heaven. There are many ways that we can hurt ourselves when we don't like who we are. On the other hand, if you take action just for the sake of doing it without expecting a reward, you will find that you enjoy every action you do. Rewards will come, but you are not attached to the reward. You can even get more than you would have imagined for yourself without expecting a reward. If we like what we do, if we always do our best, then we are really enjoying our life. We are having fun, and we don't get bored, and we don't get frustrated. Tell you a little short story back, and I've kind of told, some of you probably heard this. Matter of fact, a few of them, I'm sure, but I used to be in real estate, and I was like the top real estate agent in the state of Idaho. And I was making lots of money, like 20 to 40 to 60, even $80,000 a month, every month, for years. And so I grew up from growing up in a swamp in a little single wide trailer. Never thought I could even achieve those kind of things, but luckily no one ever told me that I couldn't achieve them, because if I would have believed them, I would have made the agreement that I could never achieve those kind of things. However, speaking of achieving, what did I achieve? Well, I achieved making a lot of money, but what did I not achieve? I didn't achieve happiness. You see, because what I was doing was chasing the money for the sake of material rewards, like a big house. And yes, I had a really big, nice house. A very expensive, several automobiles. I had, RV, boat on occasion, extra cars on occasion, expensive entertainment systems, you name it. Okay. Fancy vacations, blah, blah, blah. But none of it made me happy. And I wasn't happy partially because I wasn't doing something with my life that was fulfilling. I was doing something with my life because it led to the most money, being the top real estate agent. And I'd done that in a number of jobs before real estate, where I was the best at what I did. I have a an ability apparently to apply myself and be persistent and not give up. This is something I have learned about myself that I have. But I was not applying those things to something that was going to build how I felt about myself, unless I wanted to just ride on ego, because I had the big house and the big car and all these things, and come home for Christmas to see my family in South Carolina because I was in Idaho. I'd bring them expensive gifts and do all these kinds of things, and none of it meant nothing. I would stand on the porch outside of my home, big fancy home, and I would look out across the big grassy area with the pool and all that, and I would look up at the heavens and I would say, Father, why is it that I have everything, but yet I'm not happy? And I would do that quite often, stand out there. Father, why is it that I have more than I ever thought I'd ever have, but I'm not happy? And then I said, Father, can you help me learn to appreciate the things I have in my life, and help me understand what it is that I'm supposed to have that makes me happy and supposed to do that makes me happy. That was about 18 years ago. I've been doing YouTube videos for 15 years. I've been talking to y'all guys for 15 years. I've had my YouTube channel terminated 4 times. I've lost cars, rental apartments, friends, family members, all because I wanted to do my best, and I wanted to do what made me happy. I wanted to do what was honorable. It's just what I chose to do. Anyways, I think I'm going to leave it there. And I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to drop this link in the comments in case someone's here that wants to look at it right away. I would highly recommend reading the whole book and then give it a week or a month or something like that and read it again. Okay? It's like the Bible. You got to keep going back, and you're going to learn more each time you read it. Now, I'm not saying that I agree with everything that's written here. I'm saying that principles that are given here with the 4 agreements are sound principles. And in general, I would say they are righteous, and that it's a good read. It doesn't mean you have to make an agreement or make a new agreement with everything you read here. You get to choose. Maybe you don't like that line right there. Maybe you don't like that example right there. And that's okay. You get the choice to make the new agreements that you want to make in your life, okay? Matter of fact, I think it even goes on, if I remember correctly, to talk about the new agreements. Let me see. The Toltec Path to Freedom. I think it's down around number breaking old agreements, and then it talks about new agreements. So quite a bit more to read here. So I'd encourage y'all guys to check that out. And I'm going to I have that copied already. I'm going to take this and put it on the website as well, on the Supernatural Show website. Under the home page, you'll see a page called Daniel's Desk right here. And if you click on Daniel's Desk, there's a few things there, but that's where I'm going to place a link to this at, the 4 agreements, okay? And it'll be on there within about 10, 15 minutes after the show's over, which basically the show is about over, but let me look at the comments again real quick and see what y'all guys are talking about. Like Roxy's been chitter-chatting, and Olivia and Carol, and there's the link that I shared with y'all guys, of course, and Diana. I'm glad you understand, Diana. I hope these things help y'all guys. You find comfort through these things. And I also hope that y'all guys, and I'm going to try to explain it more in the better, in the near future about the foundation, the Supernatural Show Foundation. You see, I already know that y'all guys are not people who do subscriptions. Okay? I'm aware. But if I am going to build a network that I'm literally calling the body of Christ, loosely it's called the Supernatural Show Network, but build the body of Christ, which was prophesied about by Jesus Christ himself, we have to come together, and in one way or another, we all have to try to contribute. Some of you can contribute time. Some of you can contribute effort. Some of you can be a host of a show. Some of you can do other things. And then some of you can contribute a donation once a month that helps the overall everybody else and helps the whole thing go. And in the short term, helps me survive because I don't have income. I don't do work. I don't do things that don't make me happy. I do this. And yes, I know it was a choice, and it is a choice. I chose, or maybe Father chose it for me, but I just finally heard. But whichever way it is what it is. All right. Well, I love you guys, and in the short term, between now and the end of the month, if anyone happens to have the ability to provide a small amount of support, not much, get me through to get my next little YouTube check, which ain't much, but it's like probably $300 or something like that. And I have a good little trickle coming in. Well, it's increasing with the body of Christ, the Supernatural Show Network concept that I'm building. The trickle is increasing, and on the extra for the Supernatural Show that I showed y'all guys yesterday, the extra shows the names of the people who have placed a brick block or cornerstone. And in fact, I'll show that to you again here real quick for you new guys, and to help y'all guys understand better exactly what I'm talking about when it comes to the Supernatural Show Network, and more specifically the foundation that will allow us to be able to go after the growth that I envision that we're going to be doing. Okay? And then after that, I'll transition to the extra for the show. I love you. Thank you for your help. May our Father in heaven see what we're doing. Talk to you real soon again. Matter of fact, tomorrow, the Supernatural Show. And I think Roxy and Shannon are going to be live later on this evening around 7:30 Eastern time, I think. Okay? Bye-bye for now. Throughout all history of mankind, man has built anything he could dream of. Achievements that seemed impossible then and even now. Sometimes against extreme odds and adversities. Yet, if man believes hard enough and has faith in his hands and in his mind, he can move mountains. He can achieve anything. Yet, not alone. He must have others that believe in his dream. Others to help build the impossible. Some will always say, "You can't do that. Not now, not here." Yet, with faith and perseverance, that man will find his people. He will find those too that are brave enough to dare to cut against the grain, to swim against the current of the waters, to build what others will mock and gnash their teeth as they see it rising from the dust of the earth. As they see the foundation go in, brick by brick, it shall be laid. Sweat, tears, and a few drips of blood mixed in with the dust and the clay. Another man once had such a dream. Jesus Christ had just that kind of dream. To speak and deliver a message to the entire world. Not just in the time that he walked this land, but a message that would echo throughout lands and times, landing upon our ears even today. How many did not believe in his dream? How many thought that he was pretending to be something he was not? How many wanted him to fail? Yet, he did not fail. Why? He gathered a core group of people that believed in him and believed in his words, works, and the fruits thereof. He built a solid foundation of supporters, and upon that foundation, he raised a temple built without hands, called the body of Christ. We at the Supernatural Show Network know that we wrestle not against flesh and blood, but against principalities, against powers, against the rulers of darkness in this world, against spiritual wickedness in high places. And yes, we have just such a dream to build, and it all starts with you. The foundation, shod with the gospel of peace. The placing of the symbolic bricks, blocks, and cornerstones. Each one held symbolically in place by great belief and faith that what is being built here is righteous and faithful. Once the foundation is laid, brick by each of you, then we will raise the symbolic walls girt about with the truth. And then we will all begin to thrive successfully. We will then place the trusses above our heads, in which we have trust and faith that their strength will hold back the fiery darts of the wicked and withstand the evil day, having done all to stand. From the laying of the first bricks, blocks, and cornerstones held in place by the chosen ones, and during the raising of the walls to laying of the trusses, we shall empower the sword of the Spirit, which is the word of God. We shall open our mouths boldly and make known the spirit of the gospel. If you trust in us and we trust in you, the gospel of truth will be heard across all of the lands and upon all of the ears. This dream will be built without hands, just as Christ proclaimed, for we strive to build this dream upon words of truth, words of righteousness, bringing together the great truth seekers and speakers from across the world, standing finally together as the prophesied body of Christ. Now stand, pick up and place thy brick, block, or cornerstone, and hold it fast in place with faith, knowing that thou will maintain the strength to hold it in its righteous place, knowing that you are part of the supernatural dream, to build a network and work shoulder to shoulder until we all reach our lofty goals, to let every ear that can hear to hear. We strive to have truth tellers speaking in every tongue, in every language, and every day and night. One unified voice speaking peace and truth across one unified network, the Supernatural Show Network. It's time. No more division. No more, there's nothing I can do. No more, I am alone. It's time to take each of our places in destiny. Welcome to the body of Christ. Place your foundation brick, block, or cornerstone now at thesupernatural.show.
I've got one that can see.
Logic before authority.